Alright guys, I'm gonna give it to you straight. Unless you're gay, then I'm gonna give it to you gay. Unless you're asexual, because then I'm not gonna give it to you. We're gonna talk about how to move to the UK. One of the biggest questions I get asked almost on the daily on my Twitter is how to move successfully to the UK. It makes sense. I'm a success story. I'm an American, I successfully moved over. How did I do it? Somehow I've avoided this topic of conversation on my YouTube channel. Almost entirely. I mean, obviously not almost entirely. Most of my videos are British versus Americans, so there's some truths in there. However, the full tutorial I've never divulged until right now. Strap yourselves on in. Are you about to get the most information you've ever had in your life? Yes, you are. Let's get in. First off, do you want to move to the UK? You gotta ask yourself one important question. Why? Why do you want to move to the UK? A lot of people that I meet in real life at conventions, they're always like, oh, you know, it's really cool you moved to the UK. I really want to move there because I hate the US. That's not there's a really good reason. I don't know. I feel like wherever you're from, it doesn't really matter if you don't like it or if you don't like the politics, or maybe you're like, I'm just unhappy here. It's not necessarily going to change. You're just going to be unhappy somewhere else. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, okay? I mean, in the UK, we had our prime minister like a couple years ago that put his penis in a pig's mouth. That's the thing. Our current prime minister is scared to run through fields of wheat. You know, it's a bit jokes over here. So yeah, not everything over in the UK is sunshine and rainbows, which seems to be a catchphrase I say too much. I don't know why. And the second question you really gotta ask yourself is, how badly do you really want it? Because it's all fine and good to say, oh, I really want to move to the UK and that's something I want to do. But it is next level to really put all of your effort into this thing. If you want it, you have to strive for it. Otherwise, it's just not gonna happen. And maybe you can get lucky. Maybe. I got lucky, to be fair. But I also put my hours in to get this to work. So just saying, if you are not committed, don't even attempt it, because it's probably not going to work out. My number one tip before we get into the visa life hacks is try it before you buy it. Now, truth be told, I didn't do this because I never expected to live in the UK long term. It was always a thing where I was just going to go and then I was going to come back to America. So I kind of broke this rule, but it is a good rule of thumb usually to visit the country first. You know, stay for a week or two, maybe in an Airbnb, see if you like the culture. Maybe there's things that you won't like and you'll be like, what the heck? I don't understand. Where's all the food choices? There's only this many pizzas in the pizza aisle? I know, it's upsetting, believe me. Also, the weather. The weather's really not that great. People make jokes about it. Believe me, it's bad, okay? You only got one season, and it's either hot or cold, okay? You're not gonna be happy either way. It's just gonna be complaints. There is a couple days of fall where you're like, oh man, 20 degrees, oh, it's perfect. Other than that, it's gonna be annoying. All right, that aside, it's now time to go over the actual way of how you can move to the UK. There's three big methods I'm gonna be going over in this video. The first one, the easiest one, the one you've probably heard of, it's stereotypical. How do you get a passport in another country? You marry them, okay? Break out the wedding rings. Do you hear the wedding bells? It's for you. It's time to get married. Now, for those of you that can't find love despite visiting the UK for over 6 years, where's my girlfriend? That method isn't really an option. However, there are ways of possibly marrying to get that visa, even if maybe you don't necessarily love them. Now, I'm just gonna put this out there. If they find out that you're not actually like in love and you're marrying for reasons involving the visa, it will be nulled and you'll be deported. So you probably shouldn't do that. However, just as an example, when Dodie and I lived together, we could literally have gotten married for the visa. You know, we lived together, we shared expenses. She's one of the only people I know that's actually like met and spoken to my mom, and I've met her parents, and that's actually one of the things that you have to do. You have to meet each other's parents. Well, guess what? She didn't want to get married, so I couldn't get the visa, so I was on to method number two. Method number two really works if you're already established and older and have a career in your current country, let's just say the US. Look for a job at a big international company that have offices in London. Now, oftentimes these people will hire people from abroad and bring them in, especially if you tell them that's what you'd like to do. Now, obviously they're going to prefer British workers in Britain, but if you're really good at what you do, you can get over there. Just be sure to check the list of companies that currently have offices in London, in your city, and you can get yourself a lovely Tier 2 intercompany visa. Now, for all of you out there like, that sounds incredibly difficult. I'm not established in my field. What can I do, Evan? Well, here comes the creme de la crop. The one with the beautiful loophole, the one that I went through. It's easy, especially if you're young. It's the Tier 4 student visa. Doesn't matter how old you are, who likes learning? Show of hands? Me, okay? Learning is fun, and that's why I came here. I came here to get a degree. Now, just want to say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Do not just apply to schools in the UK because, you know, if it doesn't work out, guess what? You're kind of screwed. What I did was I applied to schools in the US, Boston University in Boston, and Cass Business School in London. Got accepted to both, and I chose London because I was thinking it would open up my opportunities and I'd never, ever, ever get the chance to stay in a foreign country for this long ever again. Wow, didn't really know how long I was staying, but it really worked out in my favor. Now, this cannot be understated enough. Do not slack off when you're in school. It might not be too late for you, okay? If you're in school and you want this to be your dream, study, okay? pay attention in class, do your best, do those extracurriculars so you can get accepted into these big universities in the UK. They don't even have to be that great of a university, but just show that you are dedicated to your school, that you're dedicated to your degree. Why? Why would they get an international student in that doesn't even have that grade of grades when they can just pull in someone that's better than you? It's like a university anywhere, really. You're competing. So do your best in school, get that acceptance letter. Once you have chosen a good university in the UK and you've gotten your way in, now it's time for the even harder part. First, you need to make sure you have a lot of funds. Tuition for international students is quite high. It's annoying. Also, cost of living, especially if it's London, it's quite high. Time to call up your good friend US Fed Loans. Hey, can I borrow some money and get into debt? Guess what? That debt stays in America for the most part. There's some loopholes about that I'll go over in another video. But either way, get yourself some money, find a way, unless you're just wealthy and rich. Who are you? Donate me some money. I don't know. Anyway, get the money. You have the funds. You've got the acceptance letter. The school has most likely at this point helped you get your visa. You've now entered the UK legally under a Tier 4 visa. This is the hardest step initially, but now you're in the UK for a minimum of a year and a half if you're for a master's, or I believe it's 3 years for the bachelor's degree actually. So now you're in the UK for a slight long term. Here's where you need to get to work. Do not slack. I'm saying this again. It can't be understating, okay? You really need to put the effort in. I know taking tests and getting good grades is super easy in the US because I did it. It's a really easy system to game. The UK isn't like that. 1 + 1 in the US, it equals 2. You get 100% on the test. Good job, you did it. 1 + 1 = 2 in the UK, 65%. Why? The teacher thought you deserved 65%. It's all subjective. It doesn't make sense. No, it's nonsense. However, that's the way it is in the UK, and if you're gonna have to go to school in the UK, this is what you wanted. You wanted this! You gotta get adjusted, so it's time to just do your best. Put in the study hours and make sure you pass. The reason? If you do not pass your degree, get out. You've literally got to leave. There is a stipulation. I mean, if you come here for a degree and you fail it, it makes sense the country's like, we don't want you. So that is the easiest way to get kicked out of the country, is to fail your diploma. Make sure you pass, okay? You're coming here for a bachelor's, a master's, whatever you are, make sure you pass. Do not slack. Get that degree. All right, so you've gotten your degree, or at least you've taken your final test and you have to wait 4 months to get the degree because for some reason in the UK, they're like, you took a test, it's gonna take us 4 months to check it. What are they doing in their spare time? Twiddling their thumbs? Reading the newspaper? Watching tennis? I don't know. Why does it take so long in the UK to grade a test? I don't get it. In the US, it takes literally a week, maybe 2 weeks if you're at a weird university that's popular. Either way, that's my gripe aside. You've now finished your degree. You're waiting for that result. Guess what you can do now? It's time to put the effort in. Find a job. This is the most crucial part of the spot. You have literally 4 to 5 months to get a job or you have to leave. If this really is your dream to move to the UK and to live here forever and you've made friends and a network here, you need to commit and find a job. I'm gonna have a link in the description for anyone that's interested. There is a registrar put on by the UK of every company based in the UK that is a Tier 2 sponsor that will sponsor you. This is vital. I use this list all the time when I was looking for jobs because I'd find a nice job application on LinkedIn and be like, heck yes, I'm gonna get a job. I'd check the list, they're not there. There's no point in applying because by the time you get to the 3rd stage interview, they're like, oh, well, we can't sponsor you. We don't have the ability. Now, there is a rare chance that, and this has happened for me once, a company has been willing to sign up to that registrar, pay loads of fees because they wanted me so badly as a worker. And so that did work out for me. But unless you feel like you are really, really high quality, not trying to say that I was, the company thought I was, maybe I gotta pat myself on the back every once in a while. Either way, if you don't think you're at that level, just make sure you go on that list and find companies on that list that are hiring. That is your next bet. Why? The switch from Tier 4 to Tier 2, with Tier 2 being when you're sponsored by a company as opposed to the school, is quite easy. I actually misstated this in a previous video saying that Theresa May had closed this loophole. It is still open. I did my research. It is still open. If you want to get hired by a company, they do not have any walls in the way for you. It's like, oh, you're a Tier 4 resident? Well, guess what? You're treated just as a normal British person. Thank God. However, you need to make sure if that company goes under, or if you get fired, or if you have to find a new job, you really put the effort in because it is so incredibly difficult to go from Tier 2 to Tier 2. I'm speaking from experience. When you apply for a job as a migrant, even if you are the best person available for the job, as soon as they see that you're a migrant, they go, ugh, and they don't want to hire you because there's so much paperwork extra. Also, even if they really like you, they then have to make sure the job posting is on 2 different websites up for 30 days minimum so that any British person applying that has similar criteria to you can apply. And if they do apply, they get it over you. Does that make sense? Honestly, it does. I mean, if you're in a country, let's just say Britain, I think it makes sense to have laws protecting jobs for British people. I'm gonna put it out there. It does make sense. Does it make sense if they're hiring people that are underskilled compared to you? Absolutely not. And that's why if you are a really nice person and you interview really well, that company will find ways to make sure you are hired. This has happened to me. They'll be like, we really want you, we don't want someone else. And so just make sure you work with them on making the job posting as specific to you as possible, so it's mostly going to be you that's hired and no one else. Easy. Also, by the way, that job that you want, it can't just be at McDonald's unless it's in an office job, you know what I'm saying? Because the job legally has to be a master's level proficiency. Cannot be even a bachelor's level. You have to get a very high proficient job. Or if you don't think you can find a job that requires a master's level proficiency, or maybe you don't think you can quite cut it, you can always look for jobs that are currently experiencing a shortage in the job market. These are listed by the UK government and include positions such as nurses. The NHS always needs some more good nurses, so if that's what you're gonna do, help out. NHS is a beauty. So you finished university, or you got your job, or you got married, you got in. How long until you get that beautiful red passport, soon to be blue? Rest in peace. Well, it takes 5 years of working in the UK before you can get that visa. That does not include the tier 4, sadly. So even if you were here for 2 years, even 3 years on the tier 4, doesn't matter. You've got to be working for 5 years. Or the other qualification, you have to be living for 10 years. So if you've been in the UK for 4 years on your tier 4 visa, and then you were, let's just say, working for 5 years, and then you went back to school for another year, guess what? That's 10 years. Good. You now can apply for permanent residency, and you've done it. You fulfilled your dream. Hopefully, though, in that 5 years, you find a wife. Just like I'm hoping to do, but I'll probably get my visa before then. You know, that's just how it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful. If it was your dream, please tell me below if it was. Like I said, I'll put some resources in the description to hopefully help you, ones that I used to make my dream come true. I'm not 100% a citizen yet, like I've said in previous videos, but I'm quite close. Just wait until May of next year, and then, well, you'll have to see that video when it comes up. Subscribe to see that. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Actually, I'll see you all throughout the week. I'm doing a road trip throughout the UK. If you live in any of these cities, I'm going to be looking for you soon. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.